you get the lead.
I do. All right. We'll get this going so we can get you guys out of here. Thanks for taking the time to come up. We have anybody new to the league this year? Anybody new? A couple of people new. All right. A little bit of background about the league. We're a nonprofit operated by volunteers. We were established in 1960, so next year we're coming up on our 60th anniversary. My name's Tim. I've been on the board since 2004, right? Rod's been around since about 2004. Rod Smith, he's also a board member and our league coordinator. Teresa, you guys probably dealt with Teresa. She's our assistant league coordinator. And then we have David, our tech guy over there.
Which, by the way, this is being recorded, so everybody keep your language to a level.
Yeah, at least PG, please. So.
Yeah, we put it on YouTube now so that any coaches that don't make it have no excuse not to at least hear what we say. So.
We run strictly off of league fees, so whatever the kids pay to play is how we operate. We don't get any reimbursement from the city, county, state. The city does own the fields. We rent the field, so we get a bill every year from the city for field rental. City maintains the park. They cut the grass. The city also runs a concession stand, so we have nothing to do with concessions. We don't get any revenue or anything from concessions for food that's sold. So if you have a problem with concessions, please call the city if you have a problem with those, because we can't do anything about it. Pretty much covers everything, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. You guys got any questions about how the league operates or anything? No? Okay. All right. It's your turn now.
My turn. Fun stuff. All right. So how many have already been through the Pee Wee before program? Yeah, I could tell. I know you have. No, you have. So there's quite a few. So we'll just whip through the rules a little bit, make sure everybody's clear on it, and then when we're done, you can get your scorebooks and line up sheets from over there. If you need catcher gear, we're going to give you a clipboard, fill it out. We'll grab you a bag, boom, boom, boom. So, all right, so the game's going to be 1 hour, 5 innings, whichever occurs first. If you got a batter in the box, when the timer goes off, they will let that batter finish. They're supposed to, but that's it. We keep it at 1 hour simply because early in the season, you're going to run out of daylight. The second game's playing on there, you're not going to have enough. The fields you're playing on have no lights. So and it's easier to teach the umpires and everybody cut dry because we know daylight gets longer once you get into June, but it's just simpler to keep it that way. We're not worried about the 15-player limit part of it. You're going to do 5 runs per inning or 3 outs, whichever occurs first. And you all only need 6 players to start, unlike your 8U machine pitch or your player pitch that require more. So if you only have 6, you can still play. Naturally, you're going to bat the roster. You're going to get a maximum of 5 pitches. If within the first 3 they don't hit, you have an option to bring a tee out. Okay? You don't have to. It's not a requirement. We've had problems in the past where the other coach, the other team says, hey, they got to bring a tee out. You don't have to. You can pitch all 5. Doesn't matter. So.
Yeah. The umpire will just notify you that that's 3. That's all the umpire will let you know is that's 3, coach. And that should be your signal to either continue your next 2 pitches or bring a tee out. So it's not up to the umpire to remind you that you have the option. They're just going to say that's 3. Correct?
Yep. And some of these we're going to go through, and then we'll pull the field up diagram and show you, like this dead ball rule. Umpire will verbally call time as soon as the batted ball is fielded and returned to the infield from the outfield. We'll kind of show you the line and everything on that. Naturally, they're not allowed to steal or lead off. The umpires have been taught and talked about that we're not worried about. I mean, they're 5, 6 years old, so they're going to step off the bags and everything else, you know. So they're not going to be out there worrying about any of that. Naturally, no infield fly rule, right?
Yep.
No bunting. Although if you teach a 5-year-old to bunt, I think that's pretty cool. Just throwing that out there.
I honestly thought the 1 hour time limit was because that was their attention span.
Well, that's about right,
too. Yeah. Yeah.
Especially as weather gets warmer, their span goes down, and yeah.
Yeah, they like to pick daisies.
Yeah. If the ball touches the coach, umpire, or parent when it is hit, it will be considered a live ball. Okay. Defense, free substitution on defense. Batting order must remain the same. You get 10 players on the field. Teams are allowed 1 pitcher, 1 catcher, and 4 infielders. All others must play outfield. So if you have, which I had before, coaching my grandson, you have a player that's supposed to be catching and they don't want to catch and you don't have a catcher, that's fine, but you can't take that player and put him in the infield or anything, okay?
Or outfield.
Or outfield. So basically at that point in time, you're just going to have 9 on the field instead of 10. Pitcher must remain on the first base side of the coach. That's to get them used to before you move up to the machine. So, and when you go in the machine, you want to keep them on the first base side, keep them away from the wheel. So, right?
Yep.
Coaching positions, offense, you get 4, 1 at first, 1 at third. 1 who's going to be pitching. Depending on the batter, coaches may pitch over or underhanded. Coach must wear a glove when pitching. Okay, so try and have one because it helps keep everything under control if you can. Some people end up using the glove to lean on or kneel down on with their knee, especially get up my age, kind of gets a little rough. And then behind the plate to help catch balls and position the batter. So defense, you get 2. You got to be in the outfield. Also know on the field you're on, you're going to have a tendency to kind of migrate more and more in. Always happens. I used to have to catch myself. So, and the umpires will bring the game balls out. Reminder on pitching when you all are pitching that if you hit the batter, they do not get the base. Okay, because you're the one pitching. So, just a little bit of my stupid humor. You'll get used to me.
But it has been asked before
Yeah.
in the managers' meetings if that happens.
And the OCAC rule book will govern any rules not covered here. So,
One other thing to mention, at this age, we don't teach the umpires about calling interference or obstructions. So I know that in the past there's been some teams that want that called. Fielder comes up to field the ball and their players got to run around, they want that called. I mean, if you can teach your 5-year-old what that play or what that actually is, I mean, that's really good. But at 5, it's all you can do to catch them to teach them to get the ball and to hit, much less knowing the rules on what an interference is, where they can and can't be, and what obstruction is. So we don't teach the umpires at this age to call that. So to get on an umpire because they didn't call an obstruction call is not going to do you any good, other than get your blood pressure up. So
same way with typically ball hitting a runner.
yeah.
Unless you know for sure your entire team's in a proper position, 99% of the time that ball's going to pass a fielder before it gets to the runner. So they're not going to call dead ball when it hits the runner. Okay? Just so you know. Although everybody's kind of advancing
Yeah, yeah.
these days, on the teams and coaching.
yeah.
But let's see, the only other things, reminder, no nicknames on the lineup sheets. We need full name, first name, last name,
Number.
and number. Okay? Some of you that ended up with draw teams, I know a lot of times we've had coaches say, well, I only know their first name, but you got to have the whole thing on there because we do go through all the lineups and everything, and for insurance purposes. So. Right?
Yeah, make sure your rosters, when you fill those out, if you got kids that aren't there at the start of the game, scratch those kids off. And if they show up, just add them to the bottom of the lineup. So I know some people fill out their lineup sheets before the game, and And, you know, you hand it to the umpire and you got 12 kids on there and you say, well, 2 of them aren't here and they're in the middle of your lineup. You just need to scratch them out and when they show up, put them down at the bottom. So, okay.
We'll get the big question out. Schedule should be out for you all and the 7U by the end of the day next Friday. Okay? Conflicts, I'm going to just tell you right now, you can turn in a conflict, but come June we lose
Tuesday,
6 and 7 on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So your conflicts are really right out the window because you're only looking at Mondays and Fridays at that point. So that's a typical routine. The city league takes over through the week, so unfortunately. And we don't have the diamonds to move you somewhere else. If we did, we would, but they're just not there. So you can pretty much talk to everybody and say, hey, you know, you're just playing on Mondays and Fridays, you know. Kind of go from there, right?
Yep.
Any questions or anything?
Rules need to cover, we didn't cover.
On your tee, do we provide the tee there, or do you guys have one that you guys
The
have?
umpire should have one.
Should have
Yeah.
one.
Good idea to carry a backup just
Yeah.
in case, but the umpire should carry that with them with
Yeah.
the balls when they come down there.
Yeah, I'm involved with the league, and I always brought a tee because if an umpire forgets the tee, it's a long jump back to that shed.
Yeah.
So I don't see it on there, so you must have changed it, but used to you required the pitcher to wear a face mask.
On the machine pitch we do.
Machine pitch we do.
Oh, so that starts at 7.
Starts at 7, yeah. Yeah, machine
Yeah.
pitch we do.
This is a softy ball, so you know you're going to see a little bit of bounce and
Yeah.
everything else.
With the pitching, can we pull the tee out after 4 pitches?
Yeah, anytime after the
Anytime
third.
after 3.
Yeah, so you could do 4 and pull it out for the last one, that's, yeah.
Is keeping score required, or is it, I know they had like a standings last year, but.
Right. You know, it's one of those things. The umpires are going to keep score, or
Yeah.
attempt to anyway.
And we gotta teach them to do that anyhow,
They need
so.
to get in the routine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same way for you guys, I mean, you're gonna have a scorebook, so get somebody used to keeping score so that when you get up in the ages, you got a scorekeeper that knows how to do it, so.
But since you're speaking of that, let's just make it clear you're playing 1 hour, okay? So if the home team doesn't get the bat and it ends at an hour, that score does revert to the previous inning, okay? Score doesn't matter. Everybody's a winner at 5-6U. Everybody gets trophies. But we ran into problem after problem. Oh, no, the score's wrong. I know your little 5-year-olds on the internet right now, totally upset because the score is wrong, but in all reality, we score it based on
Completed innings.
completed innings. So, yeah.
Yes, 2 questions I got are, we're supposed to start in May, right?
First week in May, that's a daylight reason, yeah.
First week in May? And then, you said something about you can reserve the fields.
Mm-hmm.
Who do we contact in order to do that?
Shoot me an email or check with Teresa and she can get it to you. It's Roy Hayes with the City of O'Fallon. So.
They charge you like $10 an hour.
Yeah, about
Yeah.
$10 an hour.
Yeah.
Well worth it.
O'Fallon,
What?
all O'Fallon schools, besides the high schools, is first come, first
Yeah.
free.
All the schools?
Yeah.
All the schools.
Yeah, all the elementary schools and,
Except for the high schools, so the elementaries and middle schools are first come.
You drive by that one up there on the hill in mid-afternoon, you'll see somebody camped out there on one of those
In a lawn chair,
in a
yep.
lawn chair.
yep.
Once somebody's there, it's yours for as long as you want.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions?
Anything else? You wanna go over dead ball rule?
Yeah, we'll throw that field up there and so you all that are new with this understand how that works. So keep in mind on the diamonds that you're playing on, they're going to be bigger than your typical, except for field 6.
Yeah.
It's a smaller one, but most of the time they're not even going to be in the grass. most of the time on the diamond, they're going to be more in the dirt than they are, or if they are, they're going to be right on the edge of the grass. So,
You got
something on
markers.
there? Really?
Conveniently. I don't know how that happened, how
Conveniently?
the hell it got over there.
Really. So basically, the way the dead ball is going to work, ball comes out here, anywhere out in the outfield, we consider this, the base path is the infield. Okay? So when that ball comes in to here, right? It
Yep.
hits the ground.
Not when it crosses this plane.
Not in the air, but hits the ground or touched by a player. Okay? That's a dead ball. Okay? Where's the eraser? Oh. So then, where all the confusion gets and everybody changes everything all the time,
Sorry.
you got a runner here, runner's running to here, they get right about here. About that time, the ball comes in, hits the dirt, umpire calls dead ball, right? They get to go because they were forced by the runner. But if there was a runner here, you get to keep whatever base you actually reached. There is no halfway rule or anything of that nature. So it's whatever base you have possession unless you're forced. Make sense? It keeps the umpires from having to try and figure out how far exactly the runner was, and you all worrying about it.
Yep.
And contrary to belief, there is not a one base. You'll have teams that play it that way.
Yeah.
Where base to base running, meaning they're not allowed to run more than one base, but there isn't a rule on that. So if you face a team and a player pops one out into right field and runs all the way to third, that's perfectly fine. So,
Yeah. They keep advancing till that ball hits the infield.
but you will see teams that maybe they'll talk at ground rules and be like, hey, we're not going to run ours if you don't run yours. But to me, all that does really, to an extent, is kind of drag the game out worse, and you get less at bats. So you're better off just to play it.
There is no one base on an overthrow. So you can, if your kids get the ball and want to make a play, you don't have to worry about them making a play at second and then all of a sudden the bases are cleared because it goes out in the outfield. If they make a play at second, that player's got to stay there. There's no advancing at that point. So it kind of helps your kids to get that field to make a play without worrying about clearing the bases.
Good group of new kids coming
Yeah,
in this
yeah.
year, just so you know. And those are normally the ones that you'll work with because you're all going to move along together. But a real good group of kid umpires coming out. So we're actually
Do you need any more? I was gonna ask them afterwards. Do you need any more umpires? I actually emailed about it. I didn't hear a reply. I know it's not on the
Yeah.
same thing. We'll talk about it afterwards.
Yeah, I know
we're headed outdoors Saturday for outdoor live training now. So it's kind of, we've been going since first week of
First of
February.
February, yeah.
So it's kind of been tight, you know what I mean? Normally what we try to do is get everybody to contact us in January to sign up for February training, and we train every Saturday between now and first week April, unfortunately. And speaking of umpires, yeah, pretty much, yeah. So then basically when you come out, umpires are going to start out, you're going to have one here, you're going to have one here, right? After you get a runner on base, this umpire is supposed to come out to here. They're responsible for any calls at first, any calls at second. This umpire has all calls at third, all calls at home. If you see them in any other way, they're out of position. Okay? It's that simple.
Yeah, they're not the typical positions of a normal umpire during the game. So if any of you guys and see them in a different position, that's where we teach them to be. So
This umpire will handle all your pitches, pitch count, right?
yep.
Runs,
runs, and outs. Yep.
yep, and outs. So this is considered a primary. This is considered a secondary umpire. So
We do schedule 2 umpires for every game, but that's not a guarantee you're going to get 2. We used to only do 1. We went to 2 umpires because we had so many problems with umpires not showing up and not having umpires on the field, so we started scheduling 2. That way we always had an extra one. If somebody didn't show up, we could move them around to try to ensure that there was always at least one umpire on every game.
Plus they can get more games.
Plus they get more games and make a little more money and get a little more experience. So
Right.
if you only have one umpire show up, their position's going to be right here.
Yeah.
And hopefully we don't ever run into a situation where we don't have an umpire for your game, but
If you do, what do you want us to do?
parents coach it, or parents ump it, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Throw a parent at first and third to make calls, and so, yeah, just have fun. Yeah, really, I mean, that's-
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's really about it.
Any questions on the dead ball or anything? It's pretty cut and dry. It's not. Good deal. Simple crowd.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have anything else. I mean, if you guys got more questions or something else we need to clarify or anything, I think we're about done.
So if you need catcher gear, which I'm guessing all of you do, or do you all have your own already? Huh? So if you don't need catcher gear, you can go see Teresa and she will take care of you on the stuff, and we'll get you all some clipboards and pins. Basically, it's a